switching legs. So going the other way on the other leg. Nice and slow. And just really just focusing on controlling those ranges. Good. And then we're going to do some calves, feet together, and then lifting onto the toes. I figured you guys have had long enough to let those calves recuperate, so we'll get them back in. Good. Give me 5 more. And then toes out to the sides. Okay, so tuck your bum under, squeeze your glutes, and then same thing, lifting onto the toes. Good. And then internally rotate the feet. Whoa. Try and keep those heels nice and wide, and just think about turning on the muscles in the posterior chain, starting with the heels. Good. And then feet out again, this time a little bit wider. We're going to lift onto the heels, or sorry, onto the toes. And then dropping the heels and just coming down into these little squats. Knees out, up and down. Think about pulling the knees back. Toes are going out. Yep. Good, and then legs a little bit wider. And just the same thing, trying to pull the knees back over the toes. Good work. Okay, we're gonna come onto downward dog. Now, this would be the easy version. We're gonna start with this one, and we're gonna just kick the leg up. We're gonna hold this leg in the air for 10. Kicking the leg and then just getting the glutes on. You're feeling a little stretch in the back of the standing leg, and then trying to activate the glutes in that other leg. And then lift and hold. Try and hold it there, and then pulsing for 10. Good, and then switch it back, switching legs, and lifting. Try Try and put the emphasis on the lifting leg in the glutes. And then hold, lift as high as you can, and just making little pulses. Keep that leg locked out, point your toes. Good, and then dropping the feet and just pedaling through the heels. And bouncing through the shoulders. So you can come into plank and bounce back and forth through the shoulders. Good, drop it down into pike, bring your hands to your feet and just hang out there. A couple of bounces and squat. Push those knees out. And then bouncing into pike and squat and pike and squat. Good work. All right, we're gonna come into this nice big wide lunge, and the back leg is gonna kind of turn out whatever is comfortable for you. And we're gonna just make a slight bend in this front knee, and I'm gonna sit my hips back as far as I can. So I'm sitting my hips backwards, slight bend into the knee, reaching down towards the ground, hang out. And now you're gonna feel some different stretches. So I'm gonna feel in the oblique, and then I'm twisting through my upper back, and then my hand is not resting. So slight bend in this knee, and I wanna stand back up. So we want to think of this movement as a little deadlift. We're trying to use the front leg in the hamstring, and then just pressing back up. Now if I reach a little farther overhead, I'm going to get a little more into that oblique, and then just pressing up. Couple more. Good. And then switching, turning towards the other side. Same thing. Turn your back foot out a little bit, whatever's comfortable for you, it doesn't matter. And then you're going to sit the hips back, slight bend in the front leg, reaching down. And then really just try to twist through that upper back. Now think about creating some tension in your hamstring and then lifting up through that front hamstring, slight bend in the knee. You're using obliques to stand back up here as well, and then getting a nice little stretch when you come overhead a little bit further. Good. We're going to come back to the other leg. This time I'm going to keep the back foot kind of staggered backwards and then out to the sides a little bit. I'm going to slightly bend the knee in the front leg. I'm going to sit my hip back. I'm just going to hang out. Now for the first one, I'm going to keep a nice big proud chest. Okay? And then I'm going to think about putting most of the weight on the front foot. The back toe is just assisting. Big proud chest, sit the bum way back, and then just stand up. Now notice the arches in the ankle, the foot Just staying super active. Looking. And then switching legs. So again, one leg back, staggered feet, and then you're going to slightly bend your front leg. Nice big proud chest, slight bend in the front leg, and then all the weight is going on the front leg. The back leg is just assisting, and then pressing up through the front leg. Now, if you haven't started to feel the hamstrings waking up yet, that's normal. A lot of our hamstrings are very mobile or maybe understable or underworked, sometimes overstretched out. Sometimes it's going to take a little while to get those muscles turned on. So think about doing a bicep curl. I can easily engage this muscle. Can I do the same thing with the hamstring? You're going to come back onto the leg. So this time, same concept, guys, and I'm going to be lifting the back leg up. And if I can, I'm going to try and touch my fingertips just ever so slightly. I'm going to hold. If you can get there. Slight bend in the front leg. Now, if I can get my fingertips to touch the ground, awesome. If not, I could maybe bring them to my knee and then pulling back up. Slight bend in that front leg. And then noticing how the back leg comes up. I'm also working the back glute and then pull. Pull. You're just trying to maintain a nice big proud chest. I'm not letting my chest drop. And we're reaching for the ground. So my question is, if I can touch my forehead or my chest close to my knee in a pike stretch, stretching out the hamstrings, do I have the strength in these ranges? What if I were to come even lower? Can I get even lower into this deep range of motion and then have the strength to come back up? Okay, switching sides. That's what we're thinking about. So trying to keep the hips nice and square, slight bend into the knee, drop the hands, but don't let the chest drop. And just start to find the tension in the back of the leg. Slight bend into the knee. Kick that other leg nice and far back. Super big proud chest. And then you're starting to challenge the range of motion or the strength in range of motion. So rather than me just like hanging out here and going into a single leg passive stretch, I'm trying to get as strong as possible in that end range. I'm kicking the other leg back into the sky as high as I can. Keeping a slight bend in the knee, and think about doing a bicep curl in that hamstring. Come as low as you can, one more rep. Good work, guys. You're gonna come into a nice big side straddle position. Reach up tall, grab your wrists, and then just give that a little stretch into the oblique. Try and lengthen through that arm. One more time, lift as tall as you can. Pull the arm super tall. I feel this in the upper back and the lat muscles as well, into the neck. Good, rotate down, drop. into front of one leg. And then you can bend your elbows towards the ground if you like. So I'm just thinking about keeping the back leg fairly straight, a little bit of a stretch in that back hip. And then moving through the front leg with your hand or your elbows on the ground, if you can tolerate that. You can drop into your front or your back knee, and then just same thing, moving through the front hip again. And then lifting up into the back leg, big reach under, and then reach up into the opposite arm and try and twist through the upper back. One more time, reach under and twisting into the upper back. Good. And then switching. Other leg comes into lunge, straighten out the back leg. And then you can drop the elbows towards the ground if you can get into that. And then dropping the back knee, and you can do some movements through the front hip. Good. If my left foot is on the ground, my right hand is going to stay. I'm going to lift my left hand up, reach under, and then twisting through that upper back. Good. While we're here, you're going to straighten out the front leg, and we're just going to kind of explore this movement a little bit. Trying to hug the knee on the chest. Good. Switching sides, and let's do that same thing. So I'm gonna hug the knee on the chest, flex my toe to the ceiling, and just do some back and forth into that hamstring and calf. Try and keep the knee on the chest as best you can. Good work. You're gonna lie onto your backs. Grab a drink of water if you need to. Okay guys, let's go on to the backs. Grab some water if you haven't already. Bring your knees up to your chest. And then just dropping side to side. Rest your head. Now there's a couple things we can do here. I'm going to place my feet onto the ground, and then I'm going to drop my knees over. And I'm going to take my heel and put it onto the other knee. And what I want to think about is squeezing this back hip. So I'm going to squeeze through the back hip. I'm just trying to press that knee towards the ground. Good, switching sides, dropping the knee, bring the heel to the other leg, and then squeeze your back hip, your glute, pressing the hips forwards as you try and push the knee to the ground. Good, you're gonna walk your knees over. I'm gonna keep my knees nice and stacked. I'm gonna take my inside arm, hand on the knees, and then I'm gonna pack my shoulders so they're also stacked. So if my bottom shoulder comes into the front, it's gonna be too easy. I'm gonna pack my shoulders so they're on top of one another, hand on top of the knee, and then I'm just gonna rest my head and then twist open, and I'm trying to get into that upper back. Just a couple of reps here getting into the upper body. Good, switching sides again, stack the knees, hand on top of the knees, stack the shoulders, and then rest your head and just twisting into that upper back. You might feel this in the shoulders and into the pecs. Good. Once you've had enough of that, we're going to come into a 90-90. Now, quick little recap, 90-90 position. So if I were to come into this sitting position, if this internal rotation is limited in the hip, in the back hip, it's going to be difficult for me to get myself upright like this. So if I want, I can take a block, I'm going to bring it onto my side, and that's just going to help me kind of go a little more upright. So again, this can kind of help me go here. So we're not going to need the block right yet. We're just going to be coming into these little hip swivels. Okay, and then I'm going to keep my bum on the ground, and then we're challenging some internal rotation work to start. So I'm not going to let my hips just come off the ground so easy. I'm going to keep my bum on the ground, and then I'm dropping the knees. Once you find the knee can only go so far, the other leg is also dropping, you can start to kind of let your bum come off the ground and go into that little internal rotation stretch in the back leg. Again, just kind of explore that little knee drop, and then switching sides. So drop it as low as you can without taking your bum off the ground. Drop the other leg, and then just kind of moving back and forth through that. And then whenever you're ready, you can start to drop a little further, and you can start to kind of go into it without your hands on the ground. Now let's kind of slow that down a little bit. So what's going to happen is I'm going to start to lift this back leg up as high as I possibly can. Okay, this knee stays on the ground as long as I can. And when this back leg won't go any further, I'm slowly going to come through this little sitting bear position. Okay, pulling the knees as far as I can back, and then dropping into the other leg, and then trying to challenge this leg to stay open as long as I can. Okay, dropping down, and then lifting through the back leg, trying to hold it there. Pulling, Pulling ourselves into bear. Now the body wants to go back like this. We're trying to pull ourselves into this upright position as we pull those knees out far and then dropping down. Good, we'll do one more on each leg. Try and pull as hard as you can through that back leg. Try and start to feel the stability in the hips. And then challenging as you drop the knee to keep this knee open as long as you can. And then you can drop it down. And then pulling back up. Good, let's come back onto the other side. And then using your block to prop yourself up if you need to, or a textbook. And we're going to think about just pressing ourselves over into this back leg. And you can make some circles through the front leg. So you can also elevate your back hip by putting the block under your bum. And we're going to come forwards. Okay, now if there's any discomfort in the front leg, you can close the gap just a little bit, but ideally we're looking for trying to get into this 90 position in the knee, 90 degrees. And then you're going to think about sticking your hips outwards in the back and just come down as low as you can. And then you're going to press your knee into the ground to come back up. Okay, now if I were to just hang out here, I'm going to see a lot of us want to just go into the stretch, and then the bum just goes into a posterior pelvic tilt and we find ourselves coming down. I want to stick my bum out and then pull myself down and then press the knee into the ground to come back up. Pulling myself down and then pressing into the ground to come back up. And then find that end range, hang out there. Hang out, hold. And then turn on those muscles and then resisting. Hang out. You can use a block to help if needed on the outside. And then pressing to come back up. So that block just kind of helps me stay upright. Holding. Start to come a little lower maybe. Pressing back up one more time. Good work, and then switching sides. So again, block on the outside. Dropping yourself forwards. Doing some bouncing back and forth here. And again, trying to stick the bum out. We're trying to stick this hip going backwards and leading with the belly button. Just bouncing back and forth. You should be feeling a big stretch in that outer hip. And then start to press the knee into the ground, block assisted or hands assisted. And then coming down where you're pulling yourself down through the hip, holding. And then start to hold and press the knee into the ground nice and strong. And then coming back up. So again, if it's uncomfortable, if you're not comfortable there and your body wants to go to the side, then prop that back hip, not this hip, but the hip that you're working on, and lift with a block or a textbook like Catherine is doing. And hang out, hands assisted, and then pressing back up. And pressing back up. Really feel the knee, trying to resist the stretch, pressing the knee into the ground and pushing yourself away. Good work, and just kind of move that out a little bit. So the next one, guys, we're going to go into my favorite. We're going to do our pigeon. So if you need the blocks or a roller for this one, I recommend it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be using my roller for assistance. Catherine can use her blocks if she likes. And I'm going to walk my leg so I can get that knee towards the ground or towards the roller. Now, the closer the roller comes into my foot, the more it's going to help. The further I roll the roller away, the more my knee is going to drop. So if I bring it right in close, I'm going to be a little bit higher. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually where I like to start. And then I'm going to slide the back knee a little further away. Now, if there's discomfort in the front knee, just close the gap a little bit as much as you need to, but we're working on getting towards this 90-degree position. Now we're going to start off nice and tall. I can press myself off of my leg or maybe off of the roller. And we're going to think about holding here. I'm going to hold for 5 if you can, hands assisted as needed. 4, 3, 2, 1, and then drop it down. Now I'm not just letting myself relax fully. I'm trying to keep this range of motion where I'm currently at. And I'm letting my back hip just kind of also drop towards the ground as well. And I'm squeezing through this glute, so the whole body is going to be working here in a second. All right, and then active, start to press the knee into the block and the rollers, whatever you're using, and holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then slide down just a little deeper. Even if you're propped up, you can still get a little deeper into the stretch, and we're trying to create some strength and stability in that front hip. I'm going to slide the roller just a little further out towards the knee. And then we're going to create some tension. Again, pressing off, squeezing the back glute and the front glute and holding for 5, 4, start to lift yourself up a little higher. 3, 2, 1, and then dropping down. And just dropping a little further into that stretch. Now if you want to press yourself a little more upright, you're going to get a little more into that back hip and psoas, into the core, and then squeezing the back glute as well. We're going to go one more time here before we go towards the ground. Alrighty, ready? And lifting really hard for 5, 4, trying to press away. 3, 2, 1, and then sink it down. If you want to drop your elbows towards the ground, I'm going to keep myself upright, or myself propped up for the first part of this little passive stretch. Good. And then we're going to come a little bit lower towards the ground. So if you want to take one, if you're using 2 blocks, take 1 block out. And if you are close to the ground, we're just going to drop into the leg. Now I'm still going to use my prop to keep me upright. And I'm still trying to keep that leg open as much as possible in the front knee. You want a mat? They're probably out. Alright guys, we're going to hold again, hands assisted in this bottom stretch, and lifting for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and drop it down a little bit more. If you want to bring the foot a little closer to the groin, you can, and you can rock back and forth. I like to finish with a nice closed gap position, heel towards the groin. And we're going to do the same thing, lift up through the back hip. You can kind of stretch a little further into that back hip, squeezing the glute, nice and strong, and then holding for 5. 4, trying to lift yourself off the ground, 3, 2, 1, and then release. Come on out nice and slow. And then we're going into the other side. So whenever you're ready, get yourself propped up. I'm just going to kind of stretch through the back hip for a second. And then we're going to start off nice and high, so 1 or 2 blocks, or a roller into the middle of the shin. And then slide the back leg out. I'm going to use my roller or my block to prop me up as well with my hands assisted. And just kind of try and relax here for about a minute, try and breathe. Again, if there's discomfort in the knee, close the gap a little bit. Otherwise, we're working towards getting a 90-degree position in that front hip, or sorry, front knee. And then holding yourself nice and strong, upright, hands assisted, fingers assisted, for 5, 4, squeezing both glutes, 3, 2, 1, and then just kind of dropping through that hip a little bit. I'm not letting myself just kind of sink into the stretch right away. I want to kind of put a little work in, so I'm going to stay up nice and high. Bring yourself upright, nice and tall. And then contractions again through the front leg, pressing the knee into the roller and holding that again really hard for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release. I'm going to let the roller come out a little further towards the knee. And just kind of working a little bit through that back hip as well, pressing yourself nice and upright. Try not to let your hips go crooked. We're trying to keep both hips going forwards. And then holding nice and strong and active for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then dropping it down just a little deeper into that stretch. You're starting to drop your front hip down towards the ground. I'm going to take the roller out to the farthest position on the knee. You can start to close the gap if you're on a block with the leg by pulling it in a little bit more if you want. I'm going to do one more here before I go towards the ground on the knee. Chest up, nice and tall through the fingers. And then active and holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then dropping a little deeper in towards that stretch. If you want to try and get the knee onto the ground. If you're not able to do that, just pull the leg in a little bit closer. You're bringing your front foot towards your groin a little bit, and just be mindful of how this feels on the knees. Breathing a little bit more into this stretch. We're going to do 2 more contractions. If you want to take your block, you can hold yourself upright through the block here as well. And then lifting and holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax a little deeper into that stretch. And you can bring the front foot in just a little bit. Trying to keep the hips square. You can start to bring the heel closer towards the groin. It kind of slides in. Just be careful of that knee again. Alright, and one more really high active. Try and lift the hips off the ground and lifting for 5, 4, 3, chest up as tall as you can, squeeze the back glute, 2, 1, and relax into that stretch. You want to drop yourself down onto the elbows. And you can slowly walk yourself out of that. Just kind of checking in and feeling okay. So again, grab another drink of water. Alright guys, so we're going to finish with some more front split work. This time we're going to focus a little bit more onto the back hip. Now, we're going to prop ourselves up again. You can use whatever prop you want. If you want to use a block or a roller, both of these are going to work. And you're just going to start to come into this lunging position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck my bum under. I'm going to go into a posterior pelvic tilt through the hips. I'm going to get a little cushion for my back knee. Alright, I'm going to go into posterior pelvic tilt, okay, through the back hip, squeezing the glute nice and strong. And then we're going to do some active work into the hamstring by pulling the heel towards the bum. Nice and strong for 5. So we're staying nice and upright to start. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now with the same arm, same leg, nice and easy, try and grab that foot. You can use a prop or your elbow on your knee, whatever works. So we're going to go upright. And then we're going to create some tension against the hand. So I'm going to be pressing my hand or my foot away from my hand. I'm going to hold, squeezing for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then dropping a little deeper, but we're not just sagging through the hip. I'm still trying to tuck my bum under here. Pulling that heel towards the bum, keeping the glute always engaged, and just kind of stretching a little deeper into the quad and the hips. And then contractions again, pressing away from the hand and hold. Start to turn on the body. And this front heel is also working as well. We're trying to pull ourselves, pull the heel to the bum in the front leg. And you're creating whole body tension. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then just kind of sinking a little bit deeper into that stretch. Now, if you can switch hands, even better. I'm going to keep myself propped up on the other side with a roller or a block. And we're going to press again, holding, pressing away. And the front leg is going to pull me in. I'm going to keep myself upright. Again, I prefer the roller. We're going to create some tension in the front leg, and then pressing that foot away nice and hard for 5, 4, trying to pull the front leg in, back leg in, 3, 2, 1, and just pulling that heel closer to the bum, and you can drop it down a little more into that stretch. Good. And then upright again on your own. You're pulling that heel back towards the bum. Trying to create some tension into that hamstring. 5 reps. Try and rest whatever's comfortable, focusing on the hamstring. Good, and then dropping it down into the front leg. You can push the front leg out a little bit, pushing through the front knee, a little deeper into that stretch. Bringing myself upright onto the roller, and getting in a little bit more into that core. Now keep the back glute squeezing, protecting that hip, and putting the focus on the hip flexors and into the core, and just press yourself away. Good work, guys. And you can kind of just bounce back and forth. Switching sides. Switch sides. All right, so now we're going to just move back and forth through that back hip a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to think about pulling the heel towards the bum on your own. And just lifting for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then same arm on the same leg, pull your heel towards the bum. Just be careful of any sort of knee pain. You can rest your elbow on your front leg. We're going to create some tension. You're going to press away Trying to pull that leg away from your hand for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice and easy, pull it back in. Now when you pull it back in, you can switch hands if you like. And I can just kind of come into more of a little passive stretch here. Keep the glute squeezing on the back right hip. And then active again, pressing away. You can take yourself upright for 5. 4, turning that hip on a little harder. 3, 2, 1, and then just dropping it down a little further into a little more of a passive stretch, and you can rotate towards the front leg. And just be careful of the knees. Sometimes I get a little bit of a sharp pain on my right leg when I do these stretches. So just be mindful of how the body's feeling and moving. You can come in and out of that. And then we're going to go again active. Nice big proud chest, hold, pull the heel towards the bum, ramp it up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and pull it back down, dropping the hips towards the ground. Nice big proud chest, upright into that chest. And then holding that heel on the bum. Keep the glute and hamstring engaged. And then pulling for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, and just drop it down. You can drop onto the hand and pushing through that front hip a little bit. Good work, guys, and we'll switch sides and we'll just finish with a little hamstring full split. So focusing on opening up the back hips. Yep. Switching legs. And I'm not gonna focus on the back hip right away. I want to put some focus on this hamstring. So you can flex your toe, point your toe, whatever is comfortable. And now hands assisted. Use a prop if you need to. You're going to come up and down. So I'm going to take my prop up a little bit higher. I'm going to drop my chest and then pressing for 5, 4, 3. Trying to do a little more work here. 2, 1. And then drop it down into that pike stretch. Reach the hands away from the foot as far as you can. Back hip is staying fairly high. Good. And then bring yourself upright again and let the whole body slide. So I'm actually going to use 2 props today. Feeling a little bit lazy. And then you can hold yourself upright like this, is totally fine. And the back glute is staying on, nice and active. And then you can start to slide. Keeping the hips nice and square. We're gonna do a little contraction. I'm gonna resist the stretch. I'm gonna press the knee and the front heel into the ground, engaging through the quad and lifting for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let it slide. We'll go one more contraction with a longer hold and active for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let that foot slide just a little further. Keep the back glute squeezing. And switching sides. Let's get that stretch in on the other side. So you can stay up, stay nice and high into the back hip. You can do some rocks back and forth to start. And then focusing on the front hamstring. So reaching those hands away, get a little stretch in, and then resisting the stretch, pressing through the heel, and then up for 5. Try and sit the bum back, proud chest. 4, 3, 2, 1, and then dropping it down. Reach those hands away from the foot as far as you can, and try and drop the chest onto the knee. And drop it down, full split. Bring yourself upright. Let's hold nice strong contraction here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then drop it down a little bit. Hang out there. And one more contraction, nice and strong, squeezing, driving the heel and the knee for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slide. No. And just finishing with your little hold here. Good work, guys. Slowly come out of that. So that was a little intense in the hips. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks again for the little stretch this morning. And hope you guys have an awesome Sunday. Handstand jam starts now.